And
Hi.
I can say a lot more. I just didn't want to hog the spotlight. Sorry.
I was going to say, I'm not sure who's next, but I'm Angela. I'm a producer on Make Up Your Mind.
I'm Regina. I'm the writer-director of The Phoenix.
Hi, everyone. I'm Haley. I am the writer-director of Make Up Your Mind.
Great. And I think we have an extra Angela here sitting in our panel, but I'm not sure she's with a film. So I'm going to...
Angela.
We'll try to move her. Gotta love the technology. Okay, great. Well, again, thank you. And if anyone in the audience has any questions, feel free to use this Ask a Question box here in the top right corner. And other Angela, I see your note. No problem. It was actually our fault. We kept that tag that put you into the panel position. So, but I'm glad you're still here. I'm glad. So she was a filmmaker with a previous film block. And so we're really glad to see that she's been able to watch some additional films. So, you know, I think we'll just start with a broad question. You know, kind of, I feel like a lot of there's a theme that sort of went with all of these films about trying to find a way to either change or take control of something that they feel like is out of control in their lives. And so I'm curious if that was the actual intent for each of your films, and you know, just what inspired you to come up with the story to begin with. So let's start off with Rebecca.
Oh, okay. Sure. That was definitely not what motivated me. I find it interesting thematically that that's where my film was lumped in, but it's not a bad observation. I am personally curious about the intersection between, I guess, mainstream entertainment and more independent films that are thoughtful and thought-provoking, and how do you sort of get them to shake hands. So I was sort of thinking I would like to make a film that feels like a conventional film, or makes you believe it's one thing, but it's actually something quite deep and thought-provoking and difficult almost. I wanted to make something that provoked questions rather than provided answers. And I feel like I'm interested in future theory. I read a lot about that kind of thing. And so future theory, obviously, is future theory. It's not proven science, but it's fascinating stuff on the horizon of our real lives. So that's what motivated me to want to create something. I like stuff that doesn't feel like conventional science fiction in any way. It feels like a normal slice of life drama. And then boom, it takes you in a completely unexpected direction. So in a sense, yes, you're right. My characters did want to take control of their lives, but that wasn't what my initial motivation was.
Great. Yeah. And that actually, you know, I definitely want to get to the other filmmakers, but that did lead me to another question I had with, you know, how did you come up with that ending? Because that is where that twist happens. And, you know, just how did you decide that that's where you wanted to go with it? Was it in line with you wanting to create that, you know, provoke people to think deeper about things?
Which ending? There were two. So I'll tell you the total truth. And if anyone's watching this who's a filmmaker, the real truth is that the end where Chris, that's the actor, Ben wakes up as a clone, that came months later. It was an idea I had later, and I just added it in like one sentence to the script. I'm like, at the end, I'm like, oh, then clone Ben wakes up. Everyone's like, what? I was like, twist on twist on twist. Why not? It's funny and interesting.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved the twist. And it definitely makes you think for sure about, you know, what we think is the perfect solution. Is it really?
Totally. And also there's a 10-part television series that this film is just a tiny fragment of. And it's about Ben and Luna and about the Doctor, who you don't realize is the secret clone master.
Oh, that's great to know. That's great to know.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Is that already in... Is that already
written? It's not necessarily funded.
Well, hopefully this gets people excited and maybe you can get some funding your way.
I hope so. I sold the film, Dust. If anyone is watching this and missed the film and wants to see it again, it's on. It's owned by Gunpowder and Sky and Dust. They're the distribution company.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Regina, I wanted to get to you and see, if you could tell a little bit about how you got the inspiration for your film.
Sure. My own upbringing has a lot of similarities to the Phoenix. I also grew up in a really tumultuous family, and several of my friends also grew up in tumultuous families. Not a lot of our role models really were people like actually in our lives. It was mostly films and TV. Mulan is my idol. And so just given that upbringing that I had and just the realization that even past university, I was still trying to help them and fix them. And I just couldn't do it. Even then, even as an adult, I couldn't help them. And so that was the realization that it's out of your control. And you kind of have to let that go and let people save themselves and help themselves and really just look out for yourself as well and work towards something better for your own life, but also, try to help people who are helpable.
And that actually was something that one of the audience members mentioned. They submitted a question and said that they also came from a very similar household, and they were curious that did you get any reaction from other audiences who felt like maybe the mom was too over, there was too much from her, like that she might have been over the top, or
Totally, yeah. I've had some people say that she was one-dimensional and it wasn't believable, but that is exactly how my mom was like. And so I know that it is believable. And the fact that it is unbelievable to some people is, yeah, it really sucks. That situation really sucks. And of course, there's moments where she's different. She's not 100 miles per hour each time, but this is a short film, and this is the snapshot that I wanted to really capture, is like one of her episodes in which she's going off the rails, and you feel like it's never ending and never stopping.
Great. And Angela and Haley?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, control is a factor in my film. The idea of, can you control yourself? And can you, if you had the opportunity with your mental health to buy a new brain, wipe the slate like entirely clean, would you even do it? Like, what would be the ramifications of that? Because, when it comes to mental health, a lot of people are like, oh, just get yourself under control, just like control all of it. But unfortunately, it's not as simple as that. There isn't simple solutions to these very complex, mental health problems that are out there. So yeah, I mean, but diving into the inspiration for the film, I took a class on creativity and mental health and how often, the two can be interlinked. And from there, I wrote this screenplay that basically, dived into the fact that was like, what if, in the pursuit of perfection, that this main character, Eliza, she's trying to be the best. She, breaks down and she's struggling with her mental health. And she has this moment here where she has to, make a choice. Is she going to continue to move on with her life? What is she going to do? And I just want to dive into all of that, because one thing that I love is when sci-fi is very grounded, like, in Arrival, that's phenomenal, grounded sci-fi, in my opinion. They have those spectacles, but a lot of it is character work and like diving into all of that. So I was really happy to use the lens of that to explore it. And I had a lot of great support from my producer, Angela, who is also here today.
Yeah, I think that going off of what Haley said, control has a lot to do with the sci-fi genre itself too, because I think this film taking place in the future was super important for it to thrive, because I think over time we want to gain more and more control over certain things, and we do gain more control through technology and through other things, as we saw in some of the other films as well. So I think that kind of as we evolve, that naturally happens, and I think that really went along with the theme of this taking place in the future and just the sci-fi genre overall.
But it's very interesting there, though, because I think a lot of times when people are suffering from mental illness, they feel out of control. So how did you make that decision of the character themselves were the ones that needed to choose whether or not to get this new brain rather than putting that decision into somebody else's hands?
For me, the idea of buying a new brain, it's sort of an allegory for taking a step towards improving one's mental health. Like at the end of the day, people can help you, but you need to make an internal change and you really need to push and advocate for yourself because, you know, you can blame your problems on external factors and you can ask other people to help you. And in a lot of ways, you know, that's what my main character, Liza, does at the end. She, you know, takes a step forward and she is, you know, really asking for help and she's trying to move on with her life. But I really wanted it to be an internal conflict, an internal decision because, you know, for mental health, it's all on the inside. You know, people don't see the struggle often. They don't see, you know, people getting anxious before a show, or they don't see, you know, depression, or they don't see other elements of that. And that's why I wanted to keep it inside the character.
Great. So we have this audience question. I believe it's meant for all of you, but I did want to start with Rebecca. The question is, as live action filmmakers, do you have any tips on managing a crew, a budget, and actors? And, you know, that one really speaks to, I feel like it speaks to your film, Rebecca. You know, yours is quite a low budget film, but it's got beautiful camera movement, the pans, the just the cool scene with the chamber that the characters are in. So, you know, do you have any tips or any stories of how you were able to achieve all of that?
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. The whole film was shot in 2.5 days. So that's one thing that keeps costs down like really dramatically because you don't realize how much money you spend on food and water and you guys know. And maybe you do too, Connie, but maybe the audience doesn't. Like all kinds of ancillary things add up. I paid all my crew, but I paid them what I would call a favor rate. So favor rates are your friend. If you pay people something to give them a sense of respect and appreciation, they will work hard and do a good job for you. If you ask all your friends to kick in for free and just make your movie, they're unlikely to show up necessarily, or B, do a quality job. But if you ask a professional to do you a favor, but give them a tiny bit of compensation, it makes all the difference. So I ended up having really quality people that I worked with who I admire. My DP and I'm a television director, and we have worked for like several years together doing TV. So I already knew him. Didn't mean he was going to do any bloody favors, but he would work for a shitty rate. And he also loved the script. Like, if you got to get people that love the project, because he ended up shooting it and editing it. So that was another massive thing. And we did all the ADR together, all the posts together, because we both became very invested in the project. So I would also say finding people that love you and love the work that much that they want to do good work. I mean, those are a couple of like, important elements to doing it. I also, try to keep all the locations to a minimum. We shot at one house and at the beach, and we permitted the beach, yes, and that was expensive, but that was it. It was a skeleton crew. Then, like, me and the DP are the ones in the water with the actors, and it was fucking freezing. It was November. Wasn't great. But I didn't have to pay someone else to get in the water and rescue the actors, who all said they could surf, by the way. None of them could surf. That's why you notice there's no surfing in the movie. The script says beautiful shots of them surfing. But anyway.
Well, that getting in the water and that freezing water is true dedication to the project.
Totally. But that keeps costs down if you yourself do a lot of the work.
Oh,
and this is a totally terrible thing to say, but I'll just be honest. I bought a bunch of stuff on Amazon and I returned it.
I think we've all been there.
Yeah. I'm not lying. If I want to be helpful to other future filmmakers and people asking that question, where you can, sorry, Elon Musk, I don't feel sorry for you. Sorry, not sorry.
And how about Haley or Regina, Angela? Any similar tips or experiences?
Yeah, well, I definitely agree with the Amazon thing. First of all, I've done that on another film I recently worked on, actually. It's a good way to keep costs down, honestly. And you got to take care of the stuff, you know. I do agree. I think that yeah, you know, having people that you trust on set and that you've worked with before, or that know you and your work well, or are passionate about the script, is super important. I think that you know, there's so many things that could go wrong on a set, which is really nerve wracking. I think that's what I have the most nerves about going on to a day on set. So it's like you never know what could happen. We were shooting on location at a home, and it was the one time a year apparently when they would have the roof cleaned. So there were people spraying water on the roof while we had electrical equipment set up right below it, and we had to like yell at them to stop and, you know, just basically halt everything for a moment.
Yep, the owner did not tell us that was happening, who we were
Yeah.
renting from. So that was, yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. But,
Yeah,
you know,
so-
it's independent filmmaking, you roll with the punches, you know. So
Absolutely. So yeah, it's things like that that can come up. You never know what's going to happen. I'd say that was the biggest hiccup of the day, so that's good. At least it wasn't a disaster. But yeah, it's, you know, you want to have those people who are really communicative with you and who know what they're doing on set, but that you trust to handle situations like that. I know that our AD was super helpful in that situation, and just our whole crew was like really great, even with hiccups like that. So I think that that's the most important thing when managing a crew, for sure.
Really quick, I'm sorry, I know it's not my turn, so I do have another comment I would love to make at the end when other people have had a chance to speak. A really practical, helpful thing. But
You can just go now.
okay,
Yeah, you
sorry.
know.
I love you all. Something I made a massive mistake with, I paid for very expensive production insurance and like did it all really by the book, etc. You know, COVID, I was concerned, blah, blah, blah. It was thousands of dollars. Anyway, what I should have done was get with any of my other producing filmmaking friends who already cover production insurance for their own little independent production companies. And all I would have had to have done is paid them a small amount of money, and I would have been like a signer, and I would have been covered by their massive policy they've already paid for. That was a big mistake on my part. And it's honestly just, I just didn't know. It wasn't a mistake like I'm stupid. It was a learning curve. So I felt like that's an actual practical, real thing to say to the audience if they're asking that question, how do you save money and make a film? That would have been a really good way I could have done it.
That's a great tip. I mean, you can get a cert for like $100 if
That's
you
what I
really
mean.
ask nicely. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, mine was like 3,000, and the city of Malibu and the city of Los Angeles have different permits.
They do, yeah. Each city, yeah, each county. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I'm just saying.
That's actually a huge tip because, you know, I think so many people freak out over the insurance. You know, it's like you don't want to not have it, but then a lot of times you're paying for it and you never have to utilize it. So
No, we never used it.
Yeah, but then people just think, well, forget it. I'm not going to get the insurance. And I think that tip is so much, you know, a better way to go, and just a way to help cut down on costs, but then still make sure that you're protected.
Good.
Yeah, always have insurance though. Like always have it. No matter
Well,
what.
definitely. That's why we did it.
It's better to have it, yeah.
Totally, but do it smarter than I did it. Don't be as overly conscientious, like being like, we must cover everyone scrapes their knee.
Mhm.
Like, oh man, okay. Third of the budget gone.
I guess a practical tip I'd have is if you are able to, do not film in LA, because in a lot of other places you don't need to permit and people actually are excited to have you there, and it's easier to get press. Because we filmed in a small little town called Arnold. We were able to get press for it. Everyone was stoked to have us there. Yeah, and I've heard people that do film in LA, like they have to pay for parking. They have to literally pay thousands of dollars for like getting a parking lot.
I gotta jump on this. So the night before filming, Film LA calls us. They say, "Oh, by the way, I don't see on your call sheet where your parking lot is." And we were like, "We don't have a parking lot. Everyone's gonna park on the street. It's a residential area." They're like, "No, you need to rent a parking lot and shuttle everyone in." This is the night before filming. I was like, "It's over. It's all over. I can't afford a parking lot at like 10 o'clock at night for a 6 a.m. call tomorrow." You're joking, right? I'm going to vomit. Sorry. I'm just saying that did happen. It was really horrifying. And we ended up having to do it. We found it. We figured it out. I wasn't going to not make the movie, but that was a real thing.
Yeah.
And they sprung it on us. Parking lot?
Oof, yeah, I'm sorry. That's That's really rough.
The night before, you're a director, you're a filmmaker, you know how fucking
Yeah.
anxious I already was? I wasn't in the mood to be worried about a parking lot that I didn't know I needed.
Yeah.
Right, he just triggered me.
No, but that's a fascinating perspective because I think, well, especially people who are new to the industry. I mean, you think LA, New York, that's where you have to be, and there really are so many other places that that are truly happy to have you come and to bring some excitement into the town and to put their name on the map. And so yeah, I think that's a great tip right there.
Totally. Where's Arnold?
Arnold is Northern California and then 3 hours east.
Oh, okay, so quite far from LA.
Yes, but I'm from the Bay Area, so actually about most of the crew was Bay Area based. We still housed everyone because it was too far of a commute for them, so it just kind of ended up being a summer camp. Well, all the crew stayed in Airbnbs nearby, so it was actually a very good, fun time.
How long did you all film your film for?
We were on site for about a week because we had to set up. It's technically a period piece for the 90s. So we set up and then we shot for 3 days, and then we had an age up day, and then we shot for one more day with the age up, and then we had a day of wrapping. So not everyone was there the entire week, but we had the location for about a week.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
Angela and Haley, how long did it take to shoot your film?
We shot it over a weekend. So yeah, 2 days shoot, pretty simple, one location, which is so nice when you don't have to do a company move. So that was good.
So here's a kind of a cheeky question. Do you think that the efficiency here is because you're independent filmmakers, or do you think it is because you're women?
I think it's definitely a bit of both.
I was going to say the exact same thing. Yeah. Little column A, little column B. So, but especially, as an independent filmmaker, you have a very limited budget and you need to work within those constraints. And, almost everyone in my crew was either a woman or a non-binary individual. And, it was just such a welcoming, very actually friendly set, which I know this film that I have is, very dark and very intense, but it was just, everyone was very efficient, but also very kind and considerate, which was amazing getting to work with all these talented women and non-binary individuals. It was just incredible.
I would say it's more about like being the auteur. Like for me, I was the writer, director, producer. I mean, yeah, I had producers, but it's my money. So to me, I'm like, being the person in charge of everything ultimately made me be incredibly like, it needs to be hyper efficient, or we're not going to get it done. And there is only a finite amount of all resources. So.
Right. So, Regina, I have a very interesting audience question for you here. They want to know, how did your parents respond to your film?
So my mom actually doesn't know about the film, and I.
Yeah. Also, sorry to interrupt. That was my question.
Great question.
Yes.
Tell us.
Yeah, my mom doesn't know about the film. I'm sure she's going to find out one day and it's going to blow up in my face, but that's okay. I'll be prepared when it comes up. My dad does know about it, and I've sent the link to his friend so that he's able to watch it one day. I don't want to send it directly to him because he's not very good with technology, and like my mom can look at his technology and stuff. So he's supportive, and because he's always been an advocate for telling the truth and like not hiding different things from people. So I'm quite outspoken about certain things about my upbringing. I'm sure he would be proud. He's, portrayed pretty well. And it is the truth. But I think if he were portrayed poorly, he wouldn't mind either. But my mom would freak out.
Obviously she would freak out. You make her look like a villain. So I'm fascinated. I love it. I love what you did. I'm not in any way critical. Good for you. I mean, advocate on your own behalf. That's amazing. And so you should. But it's fascinating to bring your own parents like right into the frame. Like it's basically autobiographical, right? So
yeah, superpowers and all.
Other people are going to.
That's great.
There's like creative ripple. It may be a creative project, but they're going to have emotional an emotional ripple effect, I would think, within your community and within your familial group, right?
Totally. Yeah, I think it totally will. And I'm ready as well as I can be for that. I'm not like I have a huge family that would be affected by it. And I think because I could just easily lie and say, you know, this wasn't my family, but like it was just my friends, etc. But I think it's when you do own that, people can relate to you a little bit better, and it's not some like other person who's talking about it. It's like, this was what I went through, and if someone wants to relate to it and speak to me directly about it and put a face to like the trauma that has actually happened, I'm happy to do that.
I love that. Good for you. It's so fucking cool, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, I really mean it. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I get very irritated with films that are solipsistic, where it's like, oh, this is just basically my therapy. But at the same time, when you're actually trying to create a dialogue where it's something meaningful and it's not being solipsistic, it is actually, you know, interesting film. That animation was fantastic in your film in particular. You know,
Thank you.
It's like, dude, just like create dialogues, like begin dialogues, and maybe there's something that could crack open between you and your mom. You never know. Maybe you don't want that. I'm also not suggesting that's appropriate. I don't know. She seems horrible, but.
Now, were there any challenges or special considerations you had to make with shooting, you know, some violent scenes with a young actress?
Yes. I mean, safety in general is important. And so we did create a foam pan and a foam book so that we were able to throw those in certain shots that we needed to fly across the air and actually hit my lead actor. And then we did other VFX shots as well. We used real pans when it wasn't actually needed to be thrown. But for the little girl in general, you know, we spoke to her mom and we spoke to her, made sure that she was okay and prepared for the arguments to come, the physical violence that was to come, and the cursing that was to be said in improv. And they were all very professional and very open to it, and really was for the message that we were trying to give.
Nice. Rebecca, there's a question here for you.
Yeah.
Can you speak about the choice to have Luna begin to improve before her partner kills her? What does that add to the story?
Oh, I was like, I don't understand the question, but I get what you're saying. Oh, that was to create hyper dramatic tension and put the tension on Ben. The point is, like, if all he had to do was wait for her to die and then her clone is coming, then just let it happen. You know, let her die naturally and get the clone, and good for him. But if she starts to get better, but she's still going to be really sick, and they're never going to have their lives again. They're going to be in this limbo, this painful hospice limbo where he has to be a caretaker rather than a surfer and a lover and a fucker and have all the fun. He's like, I don't know if I want to do this for years. So I'm going to be a selfish asshole and take you out and just go with the better choice. So that was the point, was to make it harder for him to know what to do. And that is what motivated him to kill her, was being like, I'm not going to be a caretaker for the next 20 years. It was, I mean, my entire film is supposed to ask like multiple questions. Like both of them do very ethically questionable things. And that's a good thing. And people have asked me, like, I have over like, I don't know, at this point, 600 comments on my YouTube page. And a lot of them are asking beautiful and well-articulated questions. Other ones are, what the fuck, bitch? Or no. One of my favorite ones is, this whole film is clearly just lesbian propaganda.
Oh.
I know. I'm like, yes.
YouTube comments are brutal. They're all over the place.
Lesbian propaganda, though? I'm like, copy you, bro. And my response is, thank you so much for your thoughts.
Yeah, well, you know, it's
made me laugh.
Technology, social media, it's a great thing, but I think it also lets people just say whatever they want to say.
Oh, they know, perfect. But anyway, to answer the guest question, it was to ratchet up the tension dramatically. It was basically the second act twist. What would push him over the edge to kill her? Is it him being an asshole, or is it, you know, the next level of drama?
Gotcha. And Angela and Haley, at the end, you have a note about if anybody is struggling with mental health. I was curious if you guys are actually partnering with any sort of mental health associations, or is that something that you would like to do?
Yeah, we would love to do that. I mean, honestly, this film has been shown at Mental Filmness, which is a mental health film festival, and we've been really trying to bring that message to the forefront. It's funny, one of my friends actually told me, she was like, this is kind of a message film for people to like get help, and I'm like, no, I do hope that people who are struggling get help, and that is part of the intention in creating this piece. So yeah, you know, we would be definitely open to having more connections with the mental health community. And yeah, we've been working on that so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. So, I wanted to wrap up with just asking each of you, what's next for your films? What's next for, you each personally? Do you have other projects in the works? So Rebecca, let's start off with you.
Thanks. Well, I'm going to New Zealand tomorrow. I sold and wrote a television show that I'm directing. So I go there to start location scouting. So I'll be down under for many months doing that. At the same time, I've also, like I said, sold the short, and I am in the process of hopefully developing Together Forever into a full-on TV show. We will see. I also have 2 different indie features, which I would also like to direct, that are written and out there. I'm shopping them and seeing what happens. Yeah, and hopefully I get to eat a sandwich. I mean, that's my future.
Excellent. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
And Regina, how about you?
Yes, I'm actually currently at Portland Film Festival, where my film is played with the Phoenix, and we have another festival next weekend, Film Quest, as well as our in-person at Topaz Film Festival. And yeah, we have a few other festivals this year for the Phoenix. And then I am currently writing my first feature-length narrative. It's going to be horror and comedy. And also developing a documentary on my dad, who has had also a very colorful life.
Oh, love that. You have to keep us updated with how those progress. Yeah, because we'd like to see that for sure.
I will. Thank you.
And then Angela and Haley.
Yeah, it's funny. Angela and I teamed up again to produce a comedy short film called How to Make Friends that we just wrapped post on. And yeah, hopefully that will be in the festival circuit soon. And then from there, yeah, obviously this film, I'm taking it to a couple other festivals. It'll be at the Reading Film Festival next week. And also I'm currently writing a feature about 2 sisters. And really just like it's almost Thelma and Louise. It's like a crime caper. I don't want to get too much into it now. I'm still in the first draft. As well as I am hoping to shoot another short film that's about female weightlifters. It's somewhat based on my own experience early next year. So that's what I'm working on.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah. So yeah, we're continuing in the festival circuit, like Haley said. I'm also working on, other than How to Make Friends, I just wrapped we're in middle of post. We just wrapped production on a horror film that I worked on, which was called Strawberry, and it actually kind of similar to the Phoenix, has to do with past trauma from past abuse and kind of how that can haunt us as a ghost. So yeah, I've been working on that one and in post for that, and just looking forward to creating more in the future. I'm kind of looking for my next project right now at the moment.
Excellent, excellent. Well, a round of applause to all of you. Definitely amazing work, and so really grateful that you're all part of the Topaz Film Festival. I wanted to let everybody know that right underneath me there's this button. It says Wifty Cafe. Anybody is more than welcome to hop over there if you wanted to have further conversation, ask more questions. Feel free to just click on that button and it'll port you right over. And we have our documentary short film block starting at 7 p.m. Central Time. So hopefully all of you can stick around for that.
Thank you, Connie. Really appreciate
you.
being programmed
Thank you
here.
so much.
Being here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Appreciate it.
It's a lot of
Appreciate
this is great.
Thank you so much. This was really wonderful. And thank you to all the other filmmakers. Excellent work. And you guys all rock. And let's just fucking keep doing a thing, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, love
Thanks, you
Yeah,
too.
good on you.
All right. Bye, all.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers, mate.
Thank you.